Audience team, it all comes down to what we do and what we say. That is the first time where our conversation has actually made the camera gone, did him out of the village. 2020, life goes on, and that's what we're talking about today. Welcome back, Bick, if you're from New Zealand. Anzacs, good to have you here. Lauren, first off, Simon is here. Riley Young, good to have you back, mate. And Lucas James. Dave D dropped like a Democrat email server. There we go. Andy Sue. That's right. The CCP, you reckon? Someone, I forget the name of the channel. Someone's channel just got dropped and they had 700,000 subscribers and they got kicked off YouTube with no warnings from anyone. 700,000, 10-year channel, just gone. And apparently that was one of many channels that have just started to disappear. And, hey, JC, how you going, mate? All the best to you, Whopper for the copper. He's just had his surgery. We're hoping to get the news back that's going to be A-OK for our boy in blue. Very blue. Raf, police, he's one of us. Gav, good to have you here, mate. Cam Aiken didn't know you were a furry. I'm not a furry, mate. I got given this by my daughter yesterday, and she wants to know that I'm representing. Talking about representing, have a look. It's Jason Harrison, the master sniper from the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment, the best small army in the world. Good to have you here, mate. I got lint for my birthday. It's a long story. I won't go into that. I hope Lisa's well, and I hope she's driving safely, mate, and I hope the kids represented yesterday too. Tammy. G'day, Kaz, how are you? Got me a U session next month. Follow me uncle's footsteps onto infantry. Oh, Tamer. Sorry, I said Tammy. Sorry, mate. TT. It's a tough gig. You're going the coldest time of the year, but good on you. You want to know that you earned every step of it. And if anything, you get to see your friends suffer as well when they're going through the coldness. Make sure you go before them. Otherwise, seeing their panic might make it hard for you psychologically as well. Now, I mentioned that horror name again. No, we've got to be careful what we say now. We've been shut off once today. She rides a broom and wields a wand. And her name rhymes with... We're going to have to get a name for her. Matty Hurd. Passed me assessment day for Artillery Observer. Fantastic job. I wish they had you guys implemented into infantry battalions, but and also to do unreserved courses for infantry, so you know how to live amongst our call sign. Dave D, as you can still get into the army with tinnitus, or can it affect you getting in? Giuliano sticker, it can definitely. They're not going to let you in with tinnitus, mate. The reason being, it is that will only be exacerbated by shooting because the Minimi, the light machine gun, and also the Steyr itself, that's just going to make your ears get worse and worse. I couldn't imagine they're going to let you in there at all. And shooting is an all-core soldier skill. So, mate, I'm sorry, that might be you. But keep trying until they say it. Right, young Hakers, did my session and unlock medic. Excellent, which was what I wanted to do. But I got a call today, and even though they said it was open, it's full now. Yep. My second preference is infantry. Any advice? Well, Riley, infantry is full too, but they have been trickling out positions for people. And I'd suggest to you that you go to infantry and then become a medic, go to infantry and become a combat medic, and then from there start seeking out as much of the qualifications in the medical that you can do, and you might get exactly where you want to go, or go and do 4 years, 6 years in military, then come out and be a paramedic. Yep. It'll teach you how to be resilient. It'll teach you how to be in a team. It'll teach you how to turn off politics and just get the job done, and they're all the skills that are required of a thick-skinned paramedic. Yep. Lachlan McDonald, g'day, mate. How you going? Welcome to the Patreon too, my friend. If Australia has the best small army, is in New Zealand the best miniature army? I would say yes. Yep. New Zealand is a fantastic army. And the only reason why they're not in Australia is because they'll get addicted to our wages. You know, when I was doing exchange with New Zealand, the first thing the commanding officer said to me was, please do not tell them anything to do with your pay and conditions. We don't want to see our soldiers from the New Zealand Army, and I was there with the 2nd 1st Battalion, to migrate over to Australia. Cuzzy, hey man, my name's Brody. I'm 15 and I'm looking to go into infantry. You've got about 4 years to go, Cuzzy. Take it easy. Don't get yourself in trouble. Don't get married. Don't get a tattoo on your face. Do well at school. Let your mum and dad know that your actions mean more than your words, and show them that you're going to get fit. Show them you're going to do well at school. And then when you graduate, from school, then all this will be behind you and you'll have a better chance of getting in. Because at the end of the day, when the line is long, they're going to cut away the people, right, that are least representative of what they need. Don't give them an excuse to say no to you. Dave D, JC, if you have a Kiwi on your left and a Kiwi on your right, you'll be okay. All right. Timmy, just a specialist. I know how to cook a few things. There you go. JC, sure, Dave. Oh, there we go. We're starting to speak bloody Kiwi here. Hey, Mr. Bryce, how you going? I hope Anzac Day went well for you, mate. I hope you got in contact with your buddies. Hope you lifted a glass. Hope the day wasn't too painful for you. But if it was, there's no better day to feel the pain of service than Anzac Day and or Remembrance Day on the 11th of the 11th. So, mate, brother, I hope you had a good day, lest we forget. Guys and girls, I would imagine, g'day, Catonius, I see you there. I would imagine today, 1915, would have been the hardest day of all. When you picture the New Zealanders and the Australians and the Indians and the Canadians, none of them were veterans. When they landed that day, when the first flares went over, when the first shells went over, when the first time small arms, fire started to occur, how many of them thought, this is not what I thought? I want out, but you can't. People who were 14, 15, 16 years old. Did they think that they might end up running with the 303, getting so fatigued going up the hill at Anzac Cove after losing some of their fitness from being on boats, etc., and unacclimatised to that location, other than their training in Egypt, I guess, that they could end up at the top of that embankment, bayonet fighting in small groups against big, burly, grown Turkish men? 2 seconds, Tim. Hey, hello. Hello, darling. How you going? I'm just wanting to let you know that your phone, she's got a phone for family, is in your shoe outside the door. Okay, you make sure you give me a ring. Can you say hello to everyone?
Hello.
What about Lauren?
Hello.
What about Lest We Forget?
Lest we forget.
Did you forget? I tried to come over your place and I had a hot dog instead. And guess what I'm wearing?
Pardon?
Guess what I'm wearing at the moment? I'm wearing your bear suit that you got me for my birthday. Okay, darling. I'll give you a call soon, okay?
Okay.
Are you having fun?
Love you.
I love
Yes, bye.
you. Hey, by the way, I just bought you some toys. Don't tell Mum. We'll play with them tomorrow.
Thank you.
That's okay. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
You will. Bye. Kids, they're awesome. I love it. It's the best title I've ever had. Being a dad, it's great. Being a mum too, I'm sure it'd be good, but I'll never know that. Not too cow. Kane, stop. Lauren, beautiful. Timmy Doust. Is that the beautiful casting? Guys and gals, you have to have something that is bigger than yourself. There has to be a conscience that you have that everything you do is to go towards something that will be representing a family name. And it's a great thing. It's like we're trying to bring up life these days, that being independent, living in the fast lane, you can have everything you want. You don't want a family, all that sort of stuff is cool. It's not. You know, kids are the best. They are. You just don't feel like it at the time. She thought The Conjuring was boring. Fugly, it gets better. Oh, Fugly's suffering is a new dad. It really isn't awesome at the moment. No, that's why men used to go to places like World War I to get away from domestic chores, the big adventure, so to speak. Could you imagine the guys when they went to join for World War I, World War II, enlist in the war? People go, why would you do that? Could you imagine growing up in Moree 100 years ago when the only guarantee in life is hard labour? Even the chicken, until you get a missus, you got to kill yourself with a bloody knife, cut the cock, so to speak. And then if there was 3 chicks in town and there was a whole footy team of men like Omeo down in the Victorian Highlands, you might go an entire life without a girl saying yes. You know, so this was their chance to escape, to go overseas, to go for the big adventure, and then come back and start all over again. That's why we do it, for the adventure. We don't go over to represent Australia. We don't go over because we want to make an ultimate sacrifice. It always comes back to fun and not missing out until you see what it looks like. And to tell you the truth, being overseas is less complicated than being in Australia. Marcus Watson, hey Kaz, I'm hoping to go to ADFA in 2 years' time and then done True and Fine, become an infantry officer. Any advice? Foxyan, I'm wearing a bear suit my daughter gave me yesterday. For advice, become an officer, you need to be able to have a lot of research up your belt, because they're going to ask you, why do you want to be an officer for starters? Is there something up your ass that makes you think you're better than others? They're going to say, well, give me an example how you've been an officer in the past, how you've been a leader. Were you chosen by other peers for leadership capabilities? Who's your famous leader? Who's the one you love the most? If you can't name any, then it tells me you've probably got a personality disorder. So what I recommend to you is you listen to Dan Carlin. And we've said this a million times to people. By the time you listen to Dan Carlin, that gives you middle history and ancient history and even modern history examples of leadership. And it goes right into depth in podcasts where you can decide, I like what that guy does, and what that guy does, and then compare that to the leadership you're seeing at the moment that is happening around the coronavirus, nations, leaders, etc., who are leaders and who are managers, because there's a massive difference. And then from there, you can say, this is what I like about this person and this person. The way that equates to me, what would make me a good officer is this. But you also need to be able to answer a question. If you're going to go and become an officer, you'll be able to articulate yourself well as well. And that is, give me a negative point about yourself. As a matter of fact, give me 2. Because if you haven't got any self-reflection on what some bad qualities are about yourself, negative qualities, so to speak, something that can be worked on or addressed, then again, they might think you've got a personality disorder, that you can't take criticism. All right. So it's important that you come up with those. So when they ask you a question, what are 2 negative traits that you may have about yourself, that you can answer that question? Because then they're going to go, okay, that wasn't too bad. Don't be brutally honest. You know, don't give away the keys to the city. Come up with one that sounds like you're able to bring up a negative about yourself, but it is actual fact a positive. It might be the fact that you can't settle down, that you are perpetual motion, that all you want to do is dig deeper into the plan, that you are a workaholic, so to speak. Every officer would love to hear that they've got someone below them that is a workaholic. You'd go, give that man a job and a donut. It really keeps me honest, and it's starting to go downhill again now. It is a onesie. I got this from my daughter yesterday for my birthday, which is also Anzac Day. William, you're a good public speaker. This is, at the moment, mate, it's when you We'll talk about live streaming for a second in a moment. Corey James, hey, Kaz, I got my assessment day on Wednesday for. Finish the sentence, man. Let us know. What are you going in for? Public speaking is a way that you need to be able to go into any group and be able to represent yourself, but also be able to do it articulately. A lot of people, when they start a YouTube channel, for example, you see that they've got a really polished channel, but then when you see them actually start to live stream, they're awkward as hell, and you go, well, that's really weird. That's not representative of the person that I see during these crash hot productions. But to have been in the military for 24 years means that it's not just what I know. Everything I know is by having people like Jason Harrison, by having Foxhound 336 there, by having great people around me, and through pollinization, listening to special forces guys mixed with officers, mixed with senior NCOs, mixed with privates, mixed with all of those around me, that I get the summary of the good ideas, and all I've got to do is hear enough of those, then put them into my playbook, then regurgitate them and mean it at a time that I can help someone else and make a difference to them, and then they get the concentrated serum, the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and we help ourselves, self-licking ice block, so to speak. It doesn't come easily. You know, you've got to put yourself out there. We are accountable for everything we do, for everything we say. But when you know a subject from inside out, then you're able to communicate with bare minimal retention required. It just comes out. And what it does, it keeps you kind of current. One of the things we get mixed up in the Army is people will say, but you were in then, so you are not current to modern climate military. And you go, well, you are, because TTP's tactics, techniques, and procedures change a bit. Standing operated procedures change a little bit, but not much. The principles about being a soldier are exactly the same. The uniforms change. The standards lower. In some ways, they're worse now than what they used to be. We ask too much of you now. I'll give you an example of that. Just go easy with the comments there for a second, team. When you go to join the military, you don't join. No one joins for paperwork, but that is a byproduct of becoming an officer or getting in the Army and becoming a clerk, Clark Kent, so to speak. If you get in infantry, then I expect you to have strong arms, to have good cardio, to be able to take an ass kicking, to be part of the team, to be able to go out, seek out and close the enemy, kill or catch him, season, hold ground, repel attack by day and night, regardless of season, weather, terrain. You can complain, sure, okay, but when it's time to get the job on, get the job on. I expect you to be good at that. You know, but what happens is, more often than not, we push people to promotion, and they're going, I didn't want to get promoted. I don't want to be in charge of Australian soldiers. I just want to be an Australian soldier. All I want to do is eat pizza, go to the gym, chase chicks, play Xbox, and do my job. And get the 12 weeks off a year. That's all I want. And that's fine. If you don't want responsibility, all you got to do is accept the fact that those that you don't necessarily like that have been there for less time than you will end up in charge of you. And then you've got no more complaints. All right? But people get promoted in the military normally one rank above their capability. We're making things so technical that what determines who's a good soldier, who's not a good soldier, has normally got nothing to do with soldiering. And that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Hey, Kaz, YouTube denies me from donating to your stream, but lets me donate to other channels. That's all right, Hector. That just means the gods have spoken. You are the hero of Troy. This channel's not about money, team. It's about giving you somewhere to go, somewhere to escape. Mr. Buccarooni, not as much as the QPS, JC. Queensland Police Service, what are they doing? Bullfrog. G'day, Kaz. Do you know if First Armoured use ASLAVs and if reservists can become instructors at Kapooka? No, you can't become an instructor at Kapooka. No. You can't do a job part-time and then become an instructor of regular soldiers, mate. That wouldn't make sense. And if you could, there'd be a real problem with that. Guys, the Army Reserve is not a career. The Army Reserve is something you do combined with a career at the same time and gives you basically a perfect life. It gives you money and means and stability while being near your family and your friends and your children in your hometown, but also allowing you to put a uniform on and to be able to serve the nation as a stand-up reserve, able to go if the glass smashes in case of whatever the scenario. But it's not a career. You can't do 1 day a week and a weekend a month and that be the same as someone doing regular every day, 7 days a week service. They're not comparable. All right? And that's not meant to insult anyone. That's just the case, team, in everything in life. Yeah. Corey Jones got my assessment dame for Adji's case. Okay, when's that one? When you got that one, Corey? So you're going for Air Force, yeah? Head to Kaz. What are your thoughts on Winston Churchill? Winston Churches or Winston Churchill? Winston Churchill, he got the job done. People didn't necessarily like the way he went about things, but guess what? Mission success is mission success. He did what was required. And there's times like this when the best person that you can have in charge of your country, when countries should have a dictatorship, so to speak. What do I mean by that? You cannot afford to have two sides of people quarreling, debating, left, right, etc., when the wolf is at the gates. There is a time for action only, for decision-making processes. And am I basing this off the US? No, I'm not. Am I based off Australia? No, I'm not. I'm basing this off the dual consul system that they had in Rome. And basically the way that worked, there was always two consuls. Yep. And what occurred was a republic. And what had happened was when the wolf was at the gate, one would relinquish his power and one would take up that power, and he would have dictatorial rights, dictatorship, to be able to steer the country to success, to victory, or to survival. And once that was done, whether that be 6 months, 12 months, or until the situation was defeated, conquered, or a solution gained, then they would hand that back into the people and say, thank you for your trust. And then they'd go back to the dual consul system and take off from normal. You can't afford bickering between leadership, a manager and a leader, etc., like you're seeing is happening in the US at the moment. That's how you end up getting bogged and not achieving anything and the problem getting worse. Lauren's blowing kisses to Brady Cars. Here we go. Bit of tinder happening right here within the trenches with cats. Mr. Buccarini says, I have it on good authority that you won't get in the Air Force unless you are a female or Indigenous at the moment. My source is in the know. I've heard something similar. Dave D reckons we're a combination of all of the above. Retro Gaming, good to have you here, mate. And the reason why that's occurring, team, is because the military, the ADF, Army, Navy, Air Force is full. If you really want to get in, something that always have position numbers ready is normally Submariner. Go to the Navy, watch out for the soap on the bottom of the shower floor, and say you want to be a Submariner. And they'll probably be, no worries, come on in. They were looking for those when I was joining 30 years ago. I'm going in RAF. Okay, what are you going to do in there, Neville? Neville bloody Bartos, Minty Fresh. William is becoming a Spartan PFA coming up soon. It won't be happening, I doubt, mate. At Kapuka, they're not even doing PT at the moment, from the word from the people that are there. Hey, Kaz, will Army allow a transfer from transport to infantry? I've never heard of it ever happening. Yeah, I reckon they might, but normally what would occur is they'd look at the transport and depend on how many tickets you have, the Army needs can say, no, we're not going to give you qualifications that aren't going to even get used within infantry and just wasted our money on you. No. And they might say that. I believe, tell me what you think there, JC and Cam Aiken and, Dave, Mr. Buccaroony, etc. The Army needs to go back to what they used to be when I was enlisting. A one-day enlistment process where you go in there dressed in your suit with a gym bag, potentially for PT gear, and be able to go in and do the aptitude test. If you fail, they say, we're not wasting any more time with you. Go home, come back in a year. You know, if you get past that, it goes to the assessment, the medical. Go in there, go and see the doc. He checks your ball sack, checks your ass, checks your back, checks your eyes. You get urine test. The pathologist will look at that. And then from there, does the screening, then the psychological. Then once that's all good, now there's PDI waiting over there. Oh, there's only 7 left from the 37 that came today. You guys are now going to do a PFA. In one day, one-stop shop, get it all done, and in you get. But in saying that, you walk in the day, you walk out with an answer, yes or no. That's fair for you. And that'd be a good way of doing it. But the other thing is, when you get in, there should be no, this is the core you're going to. Not at all. You should go straight to the bus on Kapooka. That is a month after you've done your assessment, so it gives you a month to finalise and to stop going to school, to stop going to work, to tie up loose ends, to leave your wife, leave your husband, if you're a sailor, or whatever. But then when you get to Kapooka, they let you know. There's a board, 50 of yous at the moment, 50. There's 50 of yous. And go, there is 17 positions for infantry. There is 7 positions for artillery. There is 7 positions for signals. There is 4 positions for medics, and it goes down the line. These are not specialist roles. If you were in there because you were already a medical practitioner, you might do a core enlistment into medical because you already have some of the skill sets, so to speak. But if that's not the case, you should come in there, and Kapooka should be a competition between everyone that is there as a recruit. Who wants to go to infantry? Yep. If there's 16 people that want to go to infantry and there's 17 positions, then those 16 people, unless they do something wrong, you're all in there. You get your position. But then there's going to be someone who is thinking they want to be a medic, someone wants to go to transport, someone wants to go to something else. Nah, one of you guys is coming to infantry. And if no one says they want it, too bad. Someone gets plucked over there. Same deal. If you're in the bottom third of the platoon, you may not get a choice on what your job is, and then it comes down to army needs. This is what's going on. We are making promises to you, which is goddamn wrong, that you can go to this job before we've even tested what you can do. The best people should be going to the cause that they have represented and they have earned the right to go to. If there's 2 people in one medical position, 2 people want to go to medics, one is fitter, one is smarter, one is a better team member. That person should always get the position over the other. The worse you go, the less chance you should have of getting the position you want. That way, we always have the best people going to the cause. The sad thing about that is there's some cause that then will end up getting populated by potentially, the wrong people. That's the way it used to work. When we do your last day at Kapooka, your last couple of days, you would have people crying, violently crying, when they heard what corps they were getting sent to, because they hadn't represented at Kapooka, because they weren't team players, because they'd pissed the people off all around them, and their peer-for-peer evaluation was, don't want to work with this, do it again. MP, First Armoured has 2 squadrons with ASLABs. There you go, there's an answer. Boom. Austin Cam, can I join if I have a mental disability? It depends where it is, Austin Cam. What would it be? AC. What's your mental disability? If it's something that's going to be made worse by the military, or it's a disorder that makes you not able to perform your duties, then of course that's going to be an instant no. Yep. It's not a game, team. The military is not a game. And sadly, a lot of people, despite their willingness, despite their eagerness, despite their motivation to go there, that's not always enough. Hey, Kaz, can you make a video about some of the stupid or funny stuff that happened in your career? I could do that. I could probably do that, mate, but normally that's done as a group, sort of one where we could sit there and have candid conversations between myself and other veterans, because it'd be boring if I'm just giving you just my opinion on the videos, on the actions I've done. Ben Turner, hey, Kaz, sorry. Austin, can I have high functioning autism? I wouldn't imagine that'd go real well, Austin. I don't know. It makes you bloody great for Silk Valley. I don't know. They'd take you as an individual case, I'm sure. They'd look at the testing. They'd see how it affects you. I've had people before. I had someone, I believe, had Asperger's, and they were terrible, absolutely terrible. Thought that everyone was having a go at them. The way they spoke to people got them in trouble all the time for insubordination, and they just didn't understand the cues, the social cues that were happening. David Corey Jones, I think it's general no, but there is some really fit Aggies, but in general, no. What was that one for? What did Corey have to say? Corey, what was it? Sorry, guys, just looking through the comments here. Dave D, fitness wise. Corey Jones, Aggies quite similar to infantry. No, there's nothing. There is nothing in common with infantry and Aggies. Basically nothing. They protect an already secured location around a vital asset being a landing ground. They are normally a deterrent for people that are trespassing, civilians trying to steal stuff. They are they're a security guard, up-gun security guard with no ability to project that power and go and fight a force, so to speak. They have some awesome technology. They basically don't get tested, and they're a sitting duck for special forces who try to get rid of them, before they actually do something to damage that vital asset or prevent the aircraft from being able to operate. I've worked around Aggies before, some really good blokes, but their role is nothing to do with ours. Remember, their job is a security guard. That's what it is, up-gun security guard for an air point of entry or etc. Vital asset. Our job is to proactively seek out and close with the enemy to kill or catch him, to seize and hold ground, repel attack by day or night, regardless of season, weather, terrain. If you read the two roles, you'll see they have nothing in common. And that's not an insult. Just read the roles and you'll see that. Aggies have a special training against special forces, to my knowledge. Jack, not really, mate. No, not really. They'd have ways of detecting people coming into their area. But their biggest dramas, after they fence it off, right, you're not going to be able to stop special forces because they're also proactively making an active plan to negate whatever your detection methods are. They might say that. If you talk to Aggies, some of them will tell you they're a version of special forces themselves. Our call sign nearly got shot by an Aggie who accidentally had his rifle discharge on one of the Timor trips. Another one got run over by a forklift going 3 kilometres an hour and nearly died. Brady Cars, if they let transgender in, why not someone with autism who has been more talent? They won't let someone in with transgender, I don't believe. I think they just retrospectively look at someone who has transgender and say, can we kick them out? And how bad does it look for the army if we do? I don't understand how anyone with transgender is allowed to stay in the army when you're also kicking out all the people for mental illness for PTSD. It doesn't make sense at all. And if someone is going to be, if they're a male and they want to become a female, if they want to pretend to be a female, are you going to allow them to take testosterone blockers, etc., and become less effective, less capable? Does their fitness requirements all of a sudden dump all the way down? I don't know. And that's a conversation. For some people, having conversations, it can be a tough thing to hear. But I'm not here with any emotion. I'm just saying it the way it comes through my head. I lost my role in the military due to mental illness from PTSD resulting from my time in Rwanda. I don't judge someone for mental illness. I just go, oh, yeah, I know how you feel. It sucks, eh? Well, I don't really know how you feel because everyone feels different. Austin Cam, okay, I'll just wait and see what the nurses say. That's the fantastic attitude, mate. No matter what anyone says to you, you can't. You just go. You go attempt to get in. You be honest about your situation. And then they will determine yes, you can or no, you can't. Because we don't know who you are. If you go off just a description on paper, it can sound like, no, you don't want that. But that's not necessarily the case. We'll leave it up to professionals to decide on that. Why aren't berets worn on a recruit instructor? I don't really know. I think because a beret is a core-related headdress, where a slouch hat is all core-related. I believe that's the reason why. The Army told me to stop trying after my second time. Yep, that can happen, retro gaming, and that's better they be honest with you than lead you on and say, keep trying, keep paying for money to do this, to self-improve. If they know their intention is, they don't intend on letting you in. I'm sorry that you didn't get in, but, mate, it is a fantastic life. It's a fantastic career. Something I was going to say to someone today, because it's come up a million times before, is when people talk to you about, and I was talking to JC about this, is when people talk to you about, well, what are you going to do when you get out? Don't join the military. It gives you nothing when you get out. What does give you anything when you get out? Uni doesn't give you anything when you get out of uni unless you stay in that role. A trade doesn't give you anything when you get out except if you choose to go for something also in that role. The military gives you a life. It gives you a way of life. It gives you friendships. It gives you a way of thinking. It gives you tools. It gives you leadership. It gives you responsibility of action. It gives you adventure. It gives you a life. You can spend an entire life and make it to the very top levels as a CEO in a corporate branch, and you'll have money, you'll have houses, you'll probably have a gut, but you don't necessarily live life. The military gives you the best chance of seeing failure, of seeing hardship, and meeting those that are likewise at least honest in what they want. It's not about the buck, and we all know that, despite the fact that I believe Australian Army is still the highest paid army in the world. We were competing with Canada for a long time. Timmy Doust. Good question, Tyler. What's Tyler saying? Tyler, hey, Kaz, what's the process from other ranks to CEO? Do they go to Duntroon or somewhere else? From other ranks, you won't go from other ranks and become a CEO pretty much. To be a commanding officer, normally what occurs is, and that usually starts at lieutenant colonel rank, you normally have to be an officer from the start. You only have a certain amount of years and a certain stream which they want you to go in. And that normally starts RMC Duntroon. Duntroon normally means that you're going to go on and be a red tabs, which means you're going to go on beyond the ranks of lieutenant colonel, go to the college again to upskill. So normally what it occurs, you go to Duntroon, get your degree. There's no reason why they should be doing that. I think it's a waste of taxpayers' money, and so did the old commandant of Duntroon. RMC to do their training. From there, they'll go and do their IET training, so to speak, which is called the RVC, the Regimental Officers Basic Course, which is their specialist training in that role, i.e. infantry. And then from there, they'll go to the battalion. They'll do their lieutenant time. Then they'll do their captain time. Then they'll do their major time. And then they'll go to lieutenant colonel if they're allowed to go forward. And then from there, they'll do exchanges, etc. They'll do exchanges probably overseas as well as a major. And from there, they'll either hit roadblocks or they'll continue on through those ranks. And again, you can be the best officer. But if you don't have a situation that occurs within your career that highlights, showcases what you have to offer, we'd call that opportunity to shine, so to speak, you may never get found out. An example of that is Chevelle, Harry Chevelle. An example of that is Rommel. Would have they known that he was one of the best field generals if he hadn't have had the platform to be able to show his skills, which ultimately were the demise of himself as well. Yeah. Corey Jones, what are your thoughts on gap year? I like the fact of national service. I like the thought of that. Giving a man, giving a woman a chance to go and get some discipline in their life, giving them a chance to represent, getting the tools that are going to make them a better Australian. Gap year, I do not like if the reason is so I can try before I can buy. I don't like that at all. I don't want someone at all getting into the military that wants to try before they buy. I don't give a fuck about what you want. You have to be able to completely commit yourself to that training for 4 years in preparation, because people don't need fakers beside them. We need someone who wants to be there, not someone that just wants to burn a year. And I don't think it's fair that the gap year, what it does, it gives you all the hardest things about joining the military, doing your Kapuka, doing your School of Infantry, or doing your School of Armour, or doing your School of Engineers, all that sort of stuff at Steel Barracks. But then no sooner you finish there, then you're starting to get the things that taste good, and then they kicked you out in the Army Reserve. You're going, because by the time you finished your training in gap year, you're probably going, you know what? Maybe I want to stay. And not everyone gets the opportunity to stay. Yep. And they can call you back after that too. Tyler Funk. Thanks, Kaz. But I meant from other ranks to a commissioned officer. Well, okay, to a commissioned officer. I thought you meant a commanding officer. To a commissioned officer, normally the only way to do that will be on, and that shouldn't happen anyway. If you're going to do that, then you should have gone there from, if you had the officer qualities and the IQ, etc., then you should have done that from the start. But if you're in the Army and you're going to go across to commissioned officer, which means commissioned from the Queen, get saluted, etc., normally what would happen is they start to look at you seriously, unless you are like some of my other buddies that have been recommended by platoon commanders, saying that you have leadership capabilities. Would you consider going to RMC? And that happen in natural reporting. Or you can say to an officer, I would like to be considered for officer selection. You can say that. They'll look at you weird, and sometimes they can block your chances from being able to do that. Otherwise, when you get to the ranks of sergeant and above, which means you've already been in the Army probably 10 years plus anyway, you're probably not going to try it, then what you can do is you can apply to be, do the crossover for a commissioned officer, and then you'll go over not as a lieutenant, but you'll go over as a captain junior. So you'll go over as a first-year captain would be your starting rank. Michael M. Hey, Kaz, it's my last day on isolation at the School of Infantry, and I'm probably going into to be in session in 2 weeks. Just wondering what's the most challenging aspect of being here. Michael M., I would say it's the defence phase, mate. The defence phase is really, really hard because it's not necessarily a test as such, mate. You'll be fighting against the elements, against the cold, against fatigue, because when you do defence, the first 72 hours, because 72 hours is what it takes to get to below ground, to hold ground properly, so that if indirect fire, whatever hits your environment, you have to stay there, including up to losing your life potentially. So you'll start the shell scrape, then the stage 1 pit, stage 2, stage 3 pit, and you just keep digging till that's done. But while you're doing that, you're building defences. You're doing patrolling. You're doing a standing patrol. You're doing all these activities. So it's just you fighting fatigue. It doesn't matter how fit you are. It doesn't matter how resilient you are. Your hands will be crippled from using the entrenching tool. And you've got to hope that you've got a good pit mate with you. So I reckon it's just existing at the School of Infantry is hard. Yeah, you'd have already seen that, mate. I think maybe it could even be dealing with an injury. There's a difference between, you can't just go, I'm injured, I want out, or you'll get back squatted. So fighting through soreness, through DOMS, through delayed onset muscle soreness, that can be a very hard thing. Dealing with adversity where you might have, there's always a dickhead in every section. Someone that just chaps your ass, makes your life feel harder because of either their stupidity, or because they're bucking the system, or because they're getting you in trouble, or because they're not fit enough. There might be any number of reasons where you just want that person gone. Or you might be that person and don't understand why it feels like the whole world is against you. Sometimes when you see people that aren't very good, it can feel like the entire world is just stacking on them, just waiting for them to make one mistake so that they can fail and be out of there. And that's a human trait. You know, we always like to see someone we don't like fail, don't we? Sad, but it's what we do. See the new session in base training goes. Yep. Zed, how you going, mate? Hey, Kaz, what's the most challenging part of your career in the Defence Force? The most challenging part? Frustration. I would probably think the human element. Definitely the human element. Seeing people that you know a lot about them, because we don't name names, we don't dob my mates in, we don't sacrifice or white ant other people's careers, but you'll see people that suck their way to the top, you know, and do all these little things to get noticed by hierarchy, that get all the privileges, but you can't really do anything about it, while you're the ones that are on the coalface doing the hard work, but these are the people that seem to be getting all the prizes. It's like the kid who sucks up to mum and dad and gets the puppy, you know, and what you get is a kickboard instead of a boogie board. I don't know. It's just a human element, dealing with dickheads and double standards. You know, double standards is probably the worst thing. What do you reckon? All the military representation in the comments. What do you think is the hardest thing? Do you think it's double standards in the military? Maybe. Hey, Kaz, what's your highest kill streak in COD? I don't play Call of Duty, mate. I'm a Battlefield 5 guy. Against all the bad hype, when I get a chance to relax, I like playing Battlefield 5. They made a big mistake by saying it was accurate, but didn't they? You know, they watered it down a fair bit. Random retro gaming. Hey Bailey, which interview assessment? Okay. Has pizza on Saturday night. I make my own sauce. I hope it's not that special sauce, Brady, that you put on when somebody you don't like go to eat it. Bullfrog, I heard a story of infantry guy walking in a cav bar with emu plumes in his hat and got bet up. You reckon that would happen? Mate, for starters, it should be infantry that have the emu plume, because the light horse were mounted infantry. They weren't cavalry. Okay, they didn't have sabres or swords, although they did try to implement that at one stage of World War I. Even the charge of Beersheba was with rifle and with bayonet. No, and you don't wear a hat into a bar anyway, mate. An infantryman would never grab the emu plume hat or disrespect a cav guy's hat, and vice versa either way. I'd say that's an urban myth, mate. Dealing with dickheads and the us versus them with the flying squadrons and support squadrons. Okay, Simon's a Raffy, right? Has a bloke quit, Ryan Ward had a bloke quit at the end of hardcore because we had to do the bayonet assault course twice, threw in the towel at the very end. The end of 12 weeks training, Ryan, because of the bayonet assault course. That's the last thing you do on the course. Well done. Well done for quitting. You know, I'd have psyched him out straight away. And probably too stupid to go to another corps as well. Kaz, what's the top tier special forces unit in the ADF? That'd be SASR, mate. The highest you can apply for is Commando, but I've heard of an SASR unit or something. Commandos is advanced infantry. You have to have already completed successfully infantry training, which is got the highest failure rate out of any of the initial deployment trainings, specialist courses. And then from there, you have to pass the commando training. But other than that, the top tier SASR is SASR. Yep. But to me, it's just a different role to commandos. They don't do the same things. They shadow a lot of the same qualifications, but Hayden, not my assessment day yet, just a recruiter getting in touch and talking about my options after the aptitude test. What'd they say? Brandon, I found out last week that my enlistment day is 22nd of June. Yes. That's going to put you in there the coldest time of the year too. Hey, Kaz, what's a good tip before IMTs? Do push-ups. Be able to do push-ups real well. Know what unit you want to go to. Okay, that's what I recommend. And know why. And also completely memorize the marksmanship principles and also the role of the infantry. Bug. Do you get access to a gym during your time at Kapooka? No. Or an infantry school? No. What it is there's an organised PT program. But what you can do, Bug, while you're at the School of Infantry, is each afternoon you can go to your indoor 25-metre heated pool and spend a bit of downtime with your mates in the afternoon, doing some gentle laps in between going in the afternoon and having a beer, which you're allowed to do, or a Coke. You can walk around the base. You can go to the movies on the base. You just can't leave the base, except on Thursday nights to do administration. So you can go up to the gym and do that. Otherwise, you might be compromising what you're doing for PT the following day, so to speak. Have you ever seen anyone impersonating military soldier or stolen valor before? Well, stolen valor, Will Clifton. Yeah, I have, of people that are in the military, people saying they were part of something that they weren't. People from support corps saying they were infantry. People saying they were special forces when they weren't. Of support elements saying, black hats, representing that they're an SASR, when in actual fact they are working there but supporting SASR, but not SASR. I've seen a couple of people with mental health, that were wearing uniforms, on Anzac days at the RSL in Townsville, wearing cams with berets and badges that didn't match, and I don't get angry at them. I just go, you want to be us pretty bad, eh? All right, no dramas. Tell me a story and then sit back and laugh. I just remembered the Bullfrog. I just remembered he wasn't infantry. He was a guy who walked into the army bar and got beat up by some cab guys. But you can't go in. You can't go to an army bar unless you're in the army. The army bars are on the barracks. Yeah. You need an ID card just to be on the barracks. You need security clearance to be in there. Hayden Bailey, they're trying to push me into a technical role like intelligence because of my grades. Intelligence should never be able to be because of your grades. Intelligence should only ever be because you have life experience or also experience in the military. To be an intelligence corps, you used to already have done 1 year at least, and normally in an arms corps, before you could go over and go to intelligence, and that was the best way it worked. Yep. Because you already know how soldiers live, act, how to hunt them, etc., in a field environment. So that makes you able to identify trends, etc., from the intelligence that is gathered. Zed, thanks for the input about your career before, Kaz. That was really interesting. I passed my assessment day for combat engineer, fantastic corps, but I won't be getting in until at least in September, I've been told. That's fine, mate. Just make yourself the best version of yourself and you'll be good to go. It's a fantastic corps. They just work too goddamn hard. Robbie Kent, the dog-loving gentleman. Don't ask me why, but whenever I hear hurry up and wait, I never fail to grin. That is the lyrics of our lifetime, isn't it? Hurry up and wait. Like a lion. When you see soldiers sitting down doing nothing, when you see soldiers complaining about sitting down doing nothing, when you've been in for a long time, I just look at them and just think, you're showing how immature you are and how junior you are, because at the moment, basically, you don't realise that you're going to be complaining about how hard you're working soon. When in doubt, put your head down and have a sleep. Get your energy stores up because you're going to need them. There is nothing worse than getting told with no notice in a hot or freezing cold climate, get ready, we're going out on a 72-hour patrol, and you haven't had enough time to sleep and you feel like you're sucking off the invisible man and you're still in the danger zone. There is nothing worse than performing when you feel like your eyes are falling out of your head and you're suffering. When you can, get a sleep. Get a sleep in a truck. Get a sleep in an APC. Always sleep when you get a chance. Eat when you can. We don't have lunch. We don't have breakfast. We don't have dinner. We just eat when we can. And normally, that's our spoon. The medic. Hey, mate, what's your opinion on going infantry then crossing over to medics? I think it's awesome. I think that's a fantastic. I don't see medics as a backwards step, mate. I see medics as a sideward step. I'll explain this one quickly because I say this about Stoddy all the time. I believe that infantry, we have snipers, surveillance, okay, and reconnaissance in a platoon. We have pioneers, which are our on-ground engineer equivalent. We have heavy weapons through DFSW, direct fire support weapons. We have our mortars. I believe what we should also have is medic section or medic platoon, where we have highly trained medics at paramedic level whose all job is work on their arms, work on controlled drugs, work on putting giving sets in and learning how to keep up and be the fittest guy in the call sign. So when the worst case of action occurs, they are able to keep a steady head, keep the tunnel vision away, and save a life. And that should be made up by people that have already wore the Skippy badge. Why should they have to get out of being infantry when they can go and become a corpsman? But what it means is then maybe they need to have that band that says they are a dedicated medic and they have a sidearm instead of a rifle to protect the casualty, which he could use his own rifle if he wanted, and their job is marked as a medic. And they travel with the platoon sergeant in the center of the administrational call sign and make noodles for me while I'm waiting for someone to get injured. So not medical corps at all. They should, and that's the way it works in SASR. Yeah. Look at the people that do it well. That's what I reckon. How are we looking? We've been on for another nearly hour. We might get out of here in a second so you can go and have the rest of your weekend. Like I said, I normally don't let you don't do streams on the weekends anymore. The reason being is so that you could actually have a weekend. But we've got Corona here. I'm not talking about a flavoured beer. Okay, so I'm heading to Kapuka on Tuesday. Steve, we've got a lot of people going on Tuesday. What I recommend you do, if you're going to the military, is change your name. You don't want your name, your real name, to be on your social media, on your Facebook, on your YouTube, on your Twitter, okay, on anything that can have you represented as a military member, because there is a new legal system that you are going to be part of the military legal system where if you represent you're a soldier and you even tick something that is against the Army's narrative, then you can get yourself in a lot of shit, and I don't want you to get in the shit. So change your name, explain to your family that you never need more than 50 people on a Facebook account anyway. I've got over 4,000 and the thing never stops. So pardon me, now I don't even get on there anymore. Hey, Dave, how you going? I've worked with Dave Bolton, this gentleman here. You can see in here, Dave Bolton. How are you, brother? Dave Bolton is one of my favourite people in the world. We've worked beside each other for so many years, and I'll tell you something. Dave, he's always had more rank than me, but he's always been in the same location as me. When I don't know if you remember this, Dave, and Dave stayed at my house a bunch of times too. My first memory of Dave Bolton was in the 2nd 4th Battalion nearly 30 years ago when I went to the terrace. And I went there and I was a 58-kilo whippersnapper, 58 kilos. And I was having a beer, fitting in, shutting up, maybe dancing to the tribal dance or some stupid song like that. Lauren, don't start laughing. And a guy called Goff, big fella, probably weighed 20 kilos more than me or more. No, well, that's 80 kilos. He probably weighed about 95 kilos. Just wanted to come and have a go at me for no reason. I was a junior soldier. I was out by myself, but I was around other people. Dave didn't know me. He just knew that I was from the 2nd 4th Battalion. He came over. What's going on, young fella? I don't know, mate. I don't know. This guy from Charlie Company just wants to fuck me up, and I don't know why. Dave went over there, sorted him out, quick sticks. He stood up for someone he didn't know, and that goes to show you, and I've done the same for plenty of people too. When it smells like bullshit, we get involved, and we don't allow the bullying and the harassment to occur. So, Dave, if I had a hat on, I'd take it off and say thank you very much for that moment. You probably didn't realise that you'd made that effect on someone 30 years earlier. You saved me ass, my hide, so to speak. Hey, mate, great times. Miss my brother. I have to catch up with you after Corona. I'll catch up with you after Corona with a Corona. How does that sound? And, mate, I haven't heard from Pato in nearly 2 years. Is he okay? You know, he's the closest thing I've got to a brother. You know, and I'd like to reach out to him, and I just don't know how. I can't get hold of him. What are you wearing? This is me onesie that I got from my daughter yesterday for my birthday to keep me young with me skateboard, which when you see me in a cast next time will be because I rode that said skateboard, Leif Garrett style. Timmy Doust, we aren't in NATO missed. Okay, not sure. Have you heard of Special Operations Engineer Regiment? I've heard of it. Engineer's job is not to seek out and close the enemy, kill or catch him, season, whole ground, pellet, day or night, regardless of season, weather, terrain, mate. Their job is to facilitate, to support special forces in their operations. Lewis Jameson, Kaz, I'm planning on joining the army, but I would like to know, would you think about getting an education beforehand and it's worth of it? What education are you talking about, Lewis? You know, what if you get in the army and you're in for 40 years? That education, did it make any difference? You can still get tertiary education inside the military. You can still do that outside. I'll give you an example. God bless his soul, Benjamin Chuck. He's the guy that made the poem about for the Immortal Three with Scotty Palmer and Tim Applin when they were killed on the 23rd of June, 2010 in a helicopter crash on the way to a mission in Afghanistan. Well, anyway, Benjamin Chuck, not only was he a really good-looking guy, but he was from Atherton Tablelands, I believe. He used to also work at a crocodile park. He went to Thailand kickboxing, and then he got in infantry and then went to commandos. And then when he got into commandos, he done extra training and become a helicopter pilot and ultimately was killed in action. So you can continue as much as you want. There's people that get university degrees while they're in the military when they sense they want to go into a different role, etc. Yeah. Just can you maintain it? I would say almost no. Mate, he had a few hard times recently. I'll fix you two up, mate. Thanks, Dave. You know, I'm here for him. You know, anything he needs, I've got somewhere for him to stay. You know, I don't need any reason why, or he doesn't have to tell me anything. Just I hope he comes back into my life because he's a legend. All right, one more question, then I've got to go down and become an instructor. How do you become an instructor at Kapooka? I don't know why you'd want to be an instructor in Kapooka, Bullfrog. How do you become an instructor at Kapooka is you go into the military, into whatever corps you're in, and then from there you do your junior leadership courses, your sub 4, your sub 1 equivalent, which is the junior leadership training, your sub 2, which is your corps specific training. Once you've got that, you'll be a section commander, a team commander, squad commander, whatever you want to call it. You'll be that, which is 2 stripes within your call sign. Once you've done your time there, and you, instead of being a senior corporal, what will happen is then you'll get the opportunity to either go down to Kapooka as an instructor, or to go to Steel Barracks if you're an engineer, whether to go to Pucker if you're a bombardier, full corporal there, whether you go to Singleton, the School of Infantry, as a section commander. I don't know why you'd ever want to go to Kapooka and face the opportunity to fuck up and accidentally have sex with a recruit, you know, who bats her eyelids at you because she wants to use you to make it easier for her to get through training, so to speak, using the system. It's happened to a lot. Why would you want to do that when you can go to your skill school, i.e. for me it was School of Infantry, and be surrounded by better section commanders than yourself? Yeah, and then from there it becomes like a franchise, football franchise, where you've got people like Brad Percy, one of the best soldiers I've ever met, you know, from Brisbane 6th Battalion. I'm not sure where he is at the moment. Yeah, and then from there compete against each other and learn from each other, and then come back to a battalion, you know, as a platoon sergeant with the benefits of all those skills when you get almost none of them working at Kapooka. Kapooka is teaching the most basic skills. When you go to the School of Infantry or School of Engineers, School of Signals, etc., you're teaching advanced skill sets to the people that you're going to be operating with and only the people are operating within your role. I don't think there's any advantage of going to Kapuka as opposed to going to a skilled school. And if you're not going to do any one of those, the way to avoid that is to go to recruiting. They're the people that don't want to go and normally be an instructor at Kapuka or at their skill training. Okay, team, we might get out of here, eh? Mick. Hey, Mick, how you going? Got to say, Kaz, your suit reminds me of the band of Bloodhound Gang. It does. I think it's almost exactly the same, yeah? Probably the same one. Guys and gals, when we say things on here, when you ask questions, remember, I don't get time to think about this. All you hear is the down-the-barrel answer. So sometimes the context of it, it might be something that's hard to hear for someone, for example, that went to Kapuka as an instructor, for someone who went to recruiting as an instructor. It might be hard for ladies when they hear that I don't recommend infantry. But if you ask a question, you're going to get an answer. I wasn't in for 4 years. I was in there for 24 years, and I was surrounded by people as good and better than myself. You will not find anyone in Army, in infantry, that is an NCO that is going to say, yeah, I believe the girls should join infantry. You're not going to. That's what we all think. All right? You go, oh, you're speaking on behalf of Army. I'm going, well, sort of. They're not allowed to tell you that. I want you to have a good career at the end of the day. That's what I want. I want you to have a good career. I don't want you to be lied to. I don't want you to be part of a glossy pamphlet that says you can do something that you probably can't. And there's enough fails on the board to be able to make these statistics, stand for themselves. Corey Jones, I'm out, Kaz. Thanks for the stream. Happy birthday for yesterday. Thank you very much. Nutsu Cow, thank you all for being here. I hope you all have a good time. Take this time to remember as well that over 100 years ago, when the boys hit the shores of Gallipoli, this would be the time when you're up there thinking, what the fuck have we got ourselves into? The day after the landing, where you can hear the screams of people in the in no man's land, where you can hear the continual back and forth of the stretcher carriers, of the work parties, of the digging, of the how long is this going to go for? Over 2,000 people fell from 16,000 on the first 24 hours. And another 600 and something people died of disease over the next 8 months. It's all relevant. And that was part of an unsuccessful stint campaign. So, guys and gals, people have given a lot for us to be here today. 2020, it's just the way it's going to be. We thought it was going to be a better year than what it is. It started off shitty. We don't know what's going to happen. This could be the testing time of our lifetime. We don't know. To all those that are suffering, I'm sorry for that, and I wish I could do something about it. Our Patreon will be helping people as soon as we're allowed to go out and do that. And I look forward to putting some smile on some faces of those that support the channel financially. Guys and gals, start thinking to yourself, what are you going to do when Corona is over? When you've got a couple of brass coins still in your pocket, if you've got out of this economically okay and retained your job, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Is it going to change life for you at all? Look at the positive side. We could have had it a lot worse than what we have. We've been spared in a lot of ways. So please, keep being good people. Keep coming back to the stream, and let's be the best version of ourselves and the best Aussies we can be. That's Kaz saying, bear with me, and really appreciate you coming here on Sunday, and hope you have a good tomorrow as well. It is Catonius, my favourite Roman. Let's get out of here, team. Take it easy. Go and do whatever you have to do, or have a sleep. Don't go and watch Money Heist. I think I've wasted a lot of time on that series. It's a bit too bullshit. Sizzler, take it easy. Thanks for your donation of your time. Thanks for your donation of your thoughts. You could have been anywhere today and you were here. Thanks very much. And thank you to the directors. Cheers. Anzac Day, the day after.